Hello to everybody who is not here, which is half the class. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have 16 students. I normally have 29, 28. So yeah, almost half the class is gone. Now listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that piece of graph paper that you have on your page 79 in your notebook, and we're going to do 5 graphs on it. I'm going to do them up here on the smartboard for those of you who are not in class. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to leave the bottom graph on one side. You're going to leave it blank because that's going to be the side you're going to tape or glue, couldn't think of the word, onto the page of your notebook, okay? So figure out where that's going to be. Figure out which side you're going to tape or glue, and then open it up so you can figure out where you're going to put number 1. 5 graphs, and I'm going to give you your homework. Since only 16 of you are here, that's all we're going to do today. We're not going to go on. So you should be able to get finished with everything today. Number 1, g of x equals 2 times the square root of x plus 1. The first thing I want you to do is to decide and write down what the transformations are from the parent graph of square root x. What does that 2 tell us to do? Vertical stretch by a factor of 2. Vertical stretch by a factor of 2. Now I need you to think, if I do a vertical stretch by a factor of 2, what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply the y values by 2. What else does this say to do? Left 1. If I go left 1, am I messing with the x values or am I messing with the y values? I'm messing with the x values. What am I going to do to the x values? Subtract 1. Now, I had an idea based on what one of my tutors told me after Encore today. I'm going to do something that might help those of you who are still struggling with this, the blue quiz, the Moving the Monster. And this is it. For every point x, y that's on the parent graph, okay, on the parent graph. And remember, the parent graph looks like this. What the square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2, the square root of 9 is 3, right? For every point on the parent graph, this new function is going to do something. Now, what's it going to do? You told me that to move left 1, what happens to your x values? You subtract 1, so the new one is going to do this. And then the y values are getting multiplied by 2. She told me that she had shown you this. This is what we do in pre-cal. I'm always hesitant to show you guys multiple ways because I'm afraid you'll get them mixed up. And that's what she told me, and that's why I decided I wanted to try this with you guys and see if it would clear up anything. Catherine, one of my tutors, was helping Sylvia with some of the Moving the Monster stuff. And this is what Catherine showed her, because this is what we do in pre-cal. And she said, hey, Sylvia said this worked for her. She really understood it. So that's why I thought, well, maybe I'll try it and see if it might clear up some of you who are having some trouble with it. So what that says is every point that's on the parent graph, I'm going to do this to it. Okay? So let's look at it this way. On the parent graph was the point 0, 0, right? This says to take the x value, which is what? And subtract 1. So the new point will be negative 1. And it says to take the y value and do what to it? So 0 times 2 is 0. So that point is going to go to the point negative 1, 0. And that is just the moving left, isn't it? Now let's take another point. Let's take this point that was 1, 1. Where's the point 1, 1 going to go? Now hang on a minute. X is 1, right? 1 minus 1. And 2 times the y value. So the point that was at 1, 1 is now going to go to 0, 2. We had the point 4, 2. So let's take that point. Where's the point 4, 2 going to go? Right. So 3, 4. And then we're going to take one more point. 9, 3. Where's that going to go? The x value is 9. 8. 8, 6. And there's my new graph. Sure. Number 2. I'll do this a smidge differently, okay? F of x equals opposite of square root x plus 4. All right. What does this tell us to do to the parent graph? Reflect over the x-axis. Good. So this tells me on the parent graph, every point that's on that parent graph, now let's think about this. Let's take a point and reflect it over the x-axis. What happens? The opposite of what? The sign of what? Didn't this go from being 1, 1 to being 1, negative 1? Didn't the sign of the y value change? So that's going to be, you with me? How do we do an up 4? If I took that point and went up 4, did the x value change? What happened to the y value? The x value never changed. So let's take those points that were on the parent graph. That's a good question, and my answer to you is you don't have to. Here's what I would tell you. I would tell you to go over to the side and write down those first 4 points that are on the parent graph. So let's see, 4, 2, 9, 3. So that way you've got those points and you don't have to go and redraw it every time. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take each one of those points that was on the parent, and we're going to do this to it. What do we do to the x value? Nothing. What do we do to the y value? So what's the opposite of 0? 0 plus 4. Take the next point. We'll just do all the graphing at the same time. What happens to the x value? Nothing. So the x value stays the same. The y value is 1. Opposite of 1 is negative 1 plus 4. 4, 2. 4 stays the same. Opposite of 2 is negative 2. Plus 4 is 2. 9, 3. 9 stays the same. 3 turns into negative 3, and then up 4, negative 3 plus 4. So now we're going to go plot those new points. 0, 4, 1, 3, I can't see, 4, 2, and 9, 1. And there's your graph. Does that make sense? Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to show it the way we did here. So write down those 4 points that are on the parent graph and show where they go using this, whatever process this is. All right, number 3. You guys are doing well so far. So I'm not meaning that there's a trick coming or something. Everybody thinks if I understand something, there's a catch. Number 3. Here we go, number 3. F of x equals the square root of opposite of x minus 2. All right, we're going to write down the transformations in words. Good. Zoe said there's a reflection over the y-axis. And down 2. Good. Every point then that was on our parent graph is going to go where? Now, I'm just going to pick a point, and this is just a totally, I just picked it. I'll get you taken care of today. How do you reflect over the y-axis? That's right. The x value changed sign, didn't it? So the x value is going to change sign. And then we go down 2. Yes. There you go. Now, take each of those 4 points and put them through this this machine right here. And the machine is named negative x, y minus 2. I'm going to let you do them, see what you get, and we'll see if I get the same thing. Opposite of 0 is 0, and 0 minus 2. Opposite of 1, and then 1 minus 2. Opposite of 4, and 2 minus 2. Opposite of 9, and then 3 minus 2. Did anybody get the same points I did? Plot them. 0, negative 2. Negative 1, negative 1. Negative 4, 0. Negative 9, 1. Oops, I missed, but you get the idea. Number 4. Whoops. Number 4, f of x equals square root of x plus 2 minus 3. What are we being told to do in words? Left 2, and down 3. Now, x, y, every point on our parent graph is going to go through what process? When you move left 2, that means taking the x value and subtracting 2. Good. And y minus 2, good. Y minus 3, yep. And that's an x. Okay, now we're going to take your 4 points, so please write those 4 points down just like we're doing up here. And put each of those 4 points through that machine, and let's see what we get. Huh? What's our first point going to be? Yep, 0 minus 2 and 0 minus 3. Our second point, 1 minus 2 and 1 minus 3. Third point, 4 minus 2 and 2 minus 3. Good. And one more. 9 minus 2 and 3 minus 3. Oh, whoops. And 3 minus 3. Yeah. Go plot those 4 new points. -2, -3. Oops. Can I see that one? -2, -3. -1, -2. 2, -1. And 7, 0. I'm going to ask you a question. How do I know which point to start with? How do I know if I start with this point right here or if I start with this point right here? I always start with the one that was at 0, 0. So I'm going to start with that one, the -2, -3. And there's your graph. All right, guys, we got one more. Number 5. Number 5 says f of x equals -2 times the square root of x minus 1. This one has 3 things happening. Reflect over the x-axis. What kind of stretch? Vertical stretch by a factor of 2. I can't spell stretch. Vertical stretch by a factor of 2. And then write 1. Good. Now we're going to decide what's our new machine, what's our new rule. X plus 1. Okay, let's look at, well, no, that's going to be part of it, but let's make sure. Reflect over the x-axis. If I have a point here and I reflect over x-axis, what changes? The sign of the what? The sign of the y changes. So I know I'm going to have an opposite of y in it. I got a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. What does that do? So what do you do with the y value? Multiply that by 2. Do you do anything to the x? No. And then the right one, I add 1 to the x value. So there was only one thing we did to x, wasn't it? X plus 1 and -2y. There you go. There you go. Write down your 4 points and put them all through the machine. When I'm talking now, I'm kind of mostly talking to the people that are going to be watching the video, but you can certainly listen. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 times -2 is 0. 1 plus 1 is 2, and -2 times 1 is -2. 4 plus 1 is 5, and -2 times 2 is -4. 9 plus 1 is 10, and -2 minus 3 is -6, or -2 times 3 is -6. Did I get any of those wrong? We're going to plot our 4 new points. And remember, when you start graphing it, you're going to start with this one. 1, 0. 2, -2. 5, -4. 10, -6. And the graph goes like so. Now, Zoe, you all right? I need some feedback from you. Did you? Okay. Okay. Was that a thumbs up or was that a thumbs down? That was a thumbs up. Big thumbs up. Good. 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 Okay. So you're going to do them just like this. Okay. Write down the problem. Write down in words what happens. Write down your new rule. And then put these 4 points through the rule. Okay. That's what you're going to do. And that's all the lesson we're going to have for today. Good night. Oh, I wasn't even, okay, I just realized I wasn't recording, so let me say this again. Those of you who are out here, don't worry about it. The way you're going to write this, you're going to write the problem. You're going to write in words what you're supposed to do. Then you're going to make a new rule. Then you're going to take those points on the parent graph and you're going to put those through the new rule and graph those new points. That will give you your new graph. And that's all we're doing for today. I will give homework. If I gave you homework for cube roots, don't do it. We'll do it next Monday. Okay? Happy Thanksgiving.